The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Right. Get yourselves together. Right. Stand up and live your life. Right. Get yourselves together. Right. Hands up high.
Welcome to the Rise Above Show. I am Joe Perroni.
I'm Heidi Mancini. This is Ashley Ryan, and this is Carlos
Ibargüen.
Ibargüen.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it's a tough one.
How many years I can't even
What
say
nationality is that?
So it's Basque, which is like a specific region of Spain, the northern Spain. Language, nothing like Spanish or really nothing like any other language. But that's another story for another.
So you've been here before under different circumstances, so today's going to be fun.
Okay.
So you guys call yourselves the happy nomad couple.
That's correct.
All right, so this is going to be excellent because I've got a lot of questions.
Oh, good.
And not just about traveling, but the big thing for me is that, okay, so let's start, how old are you, both of you?
I'm 28.
28?
I'm 30.
30.
Yeah.
So you're young. I'm going to say you were both in the corporate world.
Yes.
Yes.
So let's start with that because I find that really interesting because a lot of people in our culture, we're told, listen, you graduate college, you get your job, you try to sit there for like 40 years, retire, and then you're done. And you're lucky if you go on vacation, I don't know, maybe
once
2 weeks a year, once, whatever, that type of thing. And I think you're destroying that whole concept.
Trying.
So you traveled the world for like a full year, pretty close.
Yeah, it was about almost 10 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So tell me how you do that. Like, you obviously both have good jobs. You can tell us about that if you want. How you got into that.
We did.
Yeah.
Did.
So start off with that. Tell us about.
Can I ask one quick question? Whose idea was it to say one day we're just going to quit our jobs and we're going to travel the world? Was it a collaboration, or did one of you say?
There was a definite moment. So when we went to Thailand a few years ago, we thought we were so cool. We were there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're like on top of the world. People there that were like, I'm on a trip. I'm here for 4 months. And we were like, people do that?
Right.
And so that got the idea in our head. And then ever since we got back from Thailand, we were just like thinking about it, and we both kind of despised our jobs. And so it dug the thought deeper and deeper until finally I was the one, I think, that was pushing him to do it.
Yeah, for you, we were doing
Oh, we were going.
It was already happening. Me, I was like, well,
I might get a
I'm
promotion.
showing us some promise over here. Like, after years of frustration, it looks like things are going my way. They're trusting me. They're sending me around the country to do these things. Maybe they trust me and see a bigger role for me. And then the time came around for them to prove it, and they did. And I was like, all right, yeah, we're doing this. Yeah. We're going on this trip.
So that's how it started. And there wasn't really that much time in between. I think we officially decided around the end of December, beginning of January, and we left at the first week of April. So it was pretty quick after the final, we're leaving.
Yeah. Wow. And this trip in Thailand was in February of 2016?
Yeah, it was not even, it was about a year
February
before we
2016, we got the idea. December 2016, we're doing it. April 2017, we left.
Now, financially, not to get into your finances.
Yeah.
But did you guys save most of your money prior to going away, or did you decide to do the trip and you're going to pay for it later, or was it you guys at some point had to get together with your finances to see what?
Right.
No, I think that's the question that people ask us the most. And luckily for us, I mean, we didn't intentionally. I mean, when we decided to go on the trip, we did save a lot more intensely, but we figured out our budget. We already knew how much we planned to spend. Well, let me back up. We decided how much we were willing to spend, and from there we decided how long we could be away and what countries we could go to, and that's how we came up with our numbers. So we just kind of had the money idea of how much we wanted to spend, and that's what led to the rest of the trip.
And as far as saving goes, I mean, we are both very financial conscious people, aka cheap, frugal.
Yeah.
So,
Cheap, yeah.
so I mean, we already had quite a bit saved up, and it actually came to a point where it's like, are we gonna buy a second home and make an investment that way, or are we gonna put that money towards a trip and invest in ourselves that way? And we went with the latter one.
Yeah. So we were already planning on spending the money. It was
Yeah.
just a matter of
How.
which one. Yeah.
Now, when you go on these trips and you stay in places, one of my friends, she travels all the time. And I always say to her, how do you afford to go on, how do you go away all the time?
Yeah.
But she's frugal with her money, and she'll find like places to stay that are really, like one night. She goes, listen, I don't care if I stay in a luxury hotel. I'm only staying there one night, or I'm only there a couple of days, or she finds a B&Bs or whatever they
the
call
Airbnb.
it to stay there, and they're cheaper. So she goes on vacation and trips all the time because she, instead of, Joe and I, we like to stay in the more, not expensive, but,
Ritzier,
because we don't know. Like, we don't know where to go.
Right.
So we go, okay, well, that's the name, that's reputable, that's where we'll stay, $300 a night.
Right.
Right.
So.
And I think that's like the biggest misconception about traveling is I think a lot of people think that to go on a trip you have to have a lot of money or be willing to part with a large chunk. But really, I mean, if you are willing to do the budget route, you can go a lot more places or go a lot longer or farther than you would normally think, I think.
You might be a little less comfortable, and you might have to do a lot more things for yourself. Like, you can pay for a tour where they tell you, hey, we're going to be in this city for these days, this city for that day, this is your
You don't
flight
have to think
there.
about anything.
You don't have to think about anything.
It's done
Well, you're
for you.
paying for that, right? That's in the
It's a
price
service,
of the
yeah.
package.
Yeah.
But if you go ahead and do the homework yourself, which now we can with thanks to the internet, like you can get your own flights, you can drop your own route, stay at the places you want. And honestly, if you're traveling, you're not like by the beach and just hanging out. Like if you really are trying to see a country or get to know the culture, you're not going to spend that much time in your room anyways. So as long as you have like decent air conditioning and a decent bed, no reviews of bed bugs, you're like,
Yeah, you're
all right,
okay.
that's
as long
good
as you
enough.
have a bathroom and Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
That's
true.
what you need.
Bathroom
True.
Wi-Fi.
But how do you change that mindset, though, of saying, okay, like, I'm quitting my job, and this is a good job, and
Yeah.
I'm making pretty good money at this
Yeah.
place.
Right.
It was scary.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was scary, but I think it also helps like that we were so frustrated in both our positions. It made the decision a lot easier. It didn't feel like, if you're later on in your career and you're like a VP or something, it's tough to leave something like that because you are at the top and whatnot. But when you're at like middle management where we were, like there's no worry of, if need be, when we come back, we can find another similar position with a similar wage. And plus nowadays, like travel is looked upon pretty positively, like people will look at your resume and go, oh, okay, instead of like, oh, this person's a slacker.
Yeah.
And I think we were just like confident in our ability to be able to get a job upon returning, or to just be scrappy, and if we had to, like, come back and do what we had to do
Right.
to get back in the game. And the other thing that was like in the back of our heads, I think, was, we're in our late 20s. If we don't do this now, like in a few years, what are we going to be doing? Like, who knows? Maybe we have a kid, or we have our own businesses,
Right.
or we're in really great jobs. So it kind of felt like now or never.
Right.
And that's really
Right.
what pushed
That
us
makes
too,
sense.
is like, we
True.
can't leave next year. We have to leave like now.
Before life gets in the way.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. What strikes me, Toad, you kind of said it, is that you do need to have a good amount of self-confidence and make yourself valuable.
Yeah.
So when you come back, people are going to want you anyway,
Right.
right? So that's a big part of it.
Oh yeah, we're really lucky in that both of our jobs pretty much told us they would hire us back upon returning. And before we
Wow.
got back, I had job offers from like my previous company. I turned them all down because I am going a different way than that. But I think we've done okay so far. So we have, sometimes we're like, oh, maybe we should have taken those jobs or something. But
Right.
really,
Or maybe
we're
we should have
fine.
bought that house.
I never think that.
I think that. The way the numbers are in
Yeah,
Vegas right now,
yeah.
I think that.
Yeah.
Not
So-
instead of the trip, but
So a lot of people your age, they kind of are slackers.
Oh, come on.
I don't need to tell you that. You already know.
Carlos, give it to him. Carlos,
we
give it
go.
to him. We have this discussion.
This is
I said
going to be some millennial
no,
bashing
not all
segment.
I said there's,
I'm gonna
it's
let you
gonna
do it.
be, he's gonna, he's not.
Oh, gosh. All right, so yeah, so we're slackers.
By
and-
percentage,
yeah.
it's, you know, it's, we can say that it's kind of a fact for a lot of people.
You're the X generation. That's what my daughter says. She goes, there's the millennials, and then there's the X generation that they work and they do their.
Oh, is that the difference?
I guess.
Oh, I
let's
thought
see,
we were
so by
millennials.
fact,
Yeah,
our
so-
generation is
Right. So,
okay.
what separates you? Like, how are you able to just kind of like, again, I hate to keep naming the name of the show,
Yeah.
but how do you rise above the people that are your peers?
You get a person like Ashley to be your significant other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one who has all the crazy ideas. So
Yeah.
I'm the one who talks
Well,
them
not
in
only that,
everything.
you like don't let us be slackers.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just, just my nature is just to be like super productive and efficient, and I don't know, I don't want to stay still. And if I was, the fact that we weren't happy in our jobs, and it's true, we had fantastic jobs, we were making plenty of, we had no problems with anything like that. We just weren't being fulfilled, and I think that's a big thing with our generation also, is we're like, we have great jobs, but this is not what we want. And that's what
Right.
kind of pushes us also. Like, if we're not going to, why are we going to stay here and do something we don't want to do when we could be doing something that we would love to do, and hopefully that'll lead us into something that we want to do for the rest of our lives or a lot longer. Or
Right.
give us more, what would the word be? You know, like a vision
Freedom
for the rest
or-
of our
oh,
life.
okay.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Both.
that's great. Well, listen, there's a lot to be learned, right? Like, I wish I had this conversation maybe 20 years ago, right?
And you know, and so back to our generation, I don't think it's so much that a lot of people are slackers. It's just so much that, you know, we're in a place now where a lot of people are pretty comfortable. Like, my parents were immigrants. They fought hard for the life that they were able to give me and my siblings. And for better or worse, now we're kind of like comfortable.
Right.
You know, when instead of having that immigrant mentality of like hustle, keep it going, we're like, all right, like I could keep making money doing something that doesn't really fulfill me or make me happy, or I could just like be happy with like life itself instead of
It
just,
sounds like
you know.
that's a better idea, right? To be
Right,
happy. I mean,
right.
that's kind of the bottom
So
line.
sometimes I think that that's perceived to be slacking off when it's, I mean, some people are slacking off, but, but I think every
so-
generation has its slackers.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes that, you know, and I get what you're saying, because with Joe and I, we've been in our careers for like 30 some years, and it's kind of like, okay, for me personally, I'm not gonna speak for him. I still love doing hair because it's what I know, but there's still a part of me that goes, I'm not getting joy out of what I'm doing. I'm
Right.
not like I used to be. It's
Right,
kind of
right.
like, you know, I know it, let's do it, let's get
You're
it done.
good at it. So,
Yeah.
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 And then with the workshops, people say, but you're not going to make any money at that. Like when I start finally doing my workshops, but I feel like that would be something that would be fulfilling to me, but it's
Right.
not just about the money.
Right.
My mindset is though, and I've been struggling with this since the beginning of January, cut back your salon hours, stop working 6 days a week, 10-hour days, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Cut down to 4, take your 2 days, concentrate on the show, concentrate. My mindset,
Right.
because I've been drilled into my head since I was little, work.
Right.
And the day I don't work is the day that, not me, but us, the day that we don't work is the day that we don't have anything.
Yeah.
And that's my mindset, is like, is it okay for me to say,
It is
listen,
part of your fulfillment.
I'm only working 4 days, is it okay? And I
Yeah.
feel guilty saying to him, I'm only gonna work 4 days.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
But
little
how
bit
do
of it's a little bit of a curve. So that's why I can be taught today too. By the way, you know, like I do make fun of the millennials, but you know, like everybody does, so you
know.
just gotta jump on, right?
Yeah.
But
We're
listen,
the- we're the easy
there
job.
are, but there are a lot of positives to take from it too. Like I can tell you, part of it, it's not a disease, but let's call it that for a second,
Okay.
right? Like if I have time off and I'm sitting there, there's something about it that I'm totally uneasy, that I cannot in any way relax.
Gotcha.
Because I've been told since I've been a little kid, you need to be productive, you need to work. If you're not working, you need to work on finding more work.
Right.
And so being that it's drilled into my head, I can feel that pressure. If, let's say I have a client at say whatever time, and that person cancels, I immediately feel the down just from that 1 hour of being unproductive. And I'm not saying that this is a good thing, by the way. So I'm saying there's a lot to be learned from here, because I think it's cultural. Like, part of my fulfillment becomes, what can I do, rather than just being me, right? So it's all about doing something all the time. It's like having like OCD all the time. Like, I'm always trying to do something. And so,
but I think that's like a successful person's mentality. You know, I think that's like a personality trait more so than like a generational divide.
Well, I was going to say it's kind of funny because I feel like I used to be that way, and partially maybe it's because we were raised similarly.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, even through
you still are that way.
Well, I mean, through college, a lot of times I had 2 jobs, not necessarily because I needed one, because I wanted to like try to get ahead and get a little more money all the time. And even now, he can vouch for it. If I'm at home, if I'm not at work, I'm working on something. Like, we bought a camper, so I'm like sewing diligently and, you know,
installing flooring.
Yeah, figuring out what kind of business I want to start. There's always something. So even if you're not working to make money, you could still work on things that are making you happy or working towards your future. And I mean, a big thing for us, and maybe this is partial for our generation also, is that we know that passive income is an option also. So working hours don't necessarily always mean money. It could just could just be passively making money, and that's kind of more of our long-term goal anyway. So part of it could be that also is why millennials aren't like work, because they're like, well, let me do a little work and then make money while I sleep, even though that's not possible for everyone. But maybe they have that idea more in their head.
Right, and that work might not return dollars right now, but you know, you're working for those future dollars.
Yeah, I guess I find myself doing the same thing, right? Like, if I'm home and I'm going, okay, I'm going to read, you know, it's like, what are you doing on your phone? I'm studying. So there's a difference between just randomly going through garbage as opposed to, you know, enhancing my knowledge.
He asked me what I'm doing on my phone. He asked me, what am I doing on my phone?
What are you doing?
I do things for enjoyment because my whole day is spent talking and working. So when I get on my phone, I'm looking up, I'm Googling stupid shit.
You want to chill.
And I just chill, or I'm looking at Facebook and laughing at people on Facebook, or whatever I'm doing. So I do nothing stuff. Where he's like, I'm just, and I do nothing stuff. And then I feel bad because I'm like, why can't I be like him and be honest?
We're not all the same.
Scholarly. I'm looking up information. You know,
I get free time and I'm like, oh, let me see about more traits about bipolar. That's my entertainment.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, teach there.
Do you think as a couple that this traveling has brought you closer together?
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, they say like travel like make or break you, and I have to say this. We know 3 couples that actually left around the same time as, or sorry, us and 2 other couples that left around the same time. One of them was married. It was kind of a social experiment. One of them was married. We've been together for almost 5 years now, 4 years. And this other couple, they were a couple months before they went on their trip, and we made it out. The married couple made it out, but the couple that I was only dating for a few months, they're not together anymore. Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of, you learn a lot about someone when you're with them 24/7.
Well, and you start to work as a team, more like a team. And for me, with everything today, everything is, not millennials, because our generation's like that too. I hate to say it.
You guys trigger me now.
No. There's a lot of people that are my age that are very narcissistic. So it doesn't, to me, it's like, to me, I agree with what you said in some sense, that it is a personality thing and how you're raised. You're either, but I think with you guys working together, it helps you guys to get closer.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And we kind of got into a groove where it was like, you find the room, I'll figure out how we're going to get there. Like, we kind of dictated, not purposefully, it just kind of naturally happened. You're better at doing this, I'm better, so it's kind of like teamwork. Even though you don't feel like you're working, when you're constantly moving like that, it really is kind of like
we
a job.
were working, it wasn't making us money per se, but it was.
It's a daily.
Constantly figuring out how we're getting to the next city, how we're getting to the next country, what we're going to do when we get there, where we're going to stay when we get there, the cheapest way, do we need visas, and just, there was a lot.
A lot to think about.
Yeah, a lot
as much homework as we did beforehand, there was still plenty to do throughout the trip on a daily basis.
Did you have any fights?
I'd say so.
Maybe a couple.
Not like fights, like full blown, like we're not going to talk to each other for days, but we would get like annoyed with each other. I mean, we were around each other 24/7. It was not like we lived together. We lived together beforehand. We had our jobs, so you know, you're away most of the day, and then you're just together like maybe a little bit in the morning and then at night. This was all day, every day.
And
that was not a bad thing.
Situations.
That was not a bad thing. I'm just saying. It
Now,
was.
pace-wise,
sometimes
like,
you're already stressed.
like your personality, I think we are kind of alike as far as our energy levels.
Right.
And Carlos and Joe, you guys seem like you're chill, and you're like, I'll have to get to it when I get to it.
Yeah.
Like, did you have to feel like you had to?
Well,
each other.
for example,
let me take this one really quick, because this is going to be my point of view, and then she can give her point of view. Travel days, okay? Travel days. I used to always like blog it while we were doing it, and like joke about travel days, because travel days, I'm like packing my bag, you know, walking.
He's very calm.
I'm taking my time walking. I'm not like speed walking. I'm like, oh, we'll get this subway to the airport. We'll get there. We're fine. She's like, but what if this happens, and what if that happens, and this happens, and we got to get there at this time, and and like she's running, and meanwhile I'm like, do 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 do, and she's just like.
Sometimes
so
it's
that
a good
was
thing,
no, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good because there were times that you got us there early, and then things would go horribly wrong. So then, luckily, we had that buffer to get everything done before the plane left, or bus left, or train left, whatever it was. And then there were times when we would do that, and then we'd be stuck there for like 3-4 hours, like waiting. Okay.
You never know. You never know. But yeah, I mean, the most that our disagreements ever came up to was probably things like that, where it's just like differences in ideas of how soon we should leave, you know, just stupid stuff. Nothing major.
Nothing major. It would just be like I mean, if you watch like these shows where people travel around the world and it's like a competition, and like, you know, stuff like that, where it's like
you guys are more
but you know, there's just gonna be sometimes there's gonna be frustration if you get to the hostel and you got there too late, and now the rooms have all been sold out. And now you're like, oh crap! Well, now last minute we got to walk around and find a new place, you know, when things like that happen. But I mean, we let out our little frustration and then get back to working together.
Yeah, and all you have is each other. So I mean, if you make the other one mad or something, I mean, you don't really have anybody else to go to turn to in person. Yeah,
no, right?
You don't want to get lost and be stuck out there alone. So.
So let's say, without a doubt, you sold us on going on a trip, right?
Okay.
I'm going to say that you have to go through a lot of preparation. And some of the ones I was thinking of that I'm sure you thought of all this, but you're doing a lot of hiking. So do you have to like be in shape first before you go? I mean, no, because you're climbing mountains. Are you doing that kind of stuff?
Come on. No, I mean...
Oh, we didn't do that stuff every day. I mean, the hardest part was probably the fact that we had to carry our backpacks everywhere, and our backpacks were pushing 50 pounds? 30?
Yeah.
How much were they?
Mine was 50. Yours was
almost
35.
50 pounds. So that was kind of hard, especially when you're in like tight spaces or there's a lot of people.
Right.
But we did we climbed like Machu Picchu and stuff, and that was hard. And it does help probably to be more in shape. But we weren't.
But it wasn't like a
doing
make
that.
or break for that one. I mean, unless you're like way out of shape, you know, then then everything's gonna be hard. But like I wouldn't consider myself in shape, and I did it just fine. You know.
Yeah.
Now, what about food? Like, I'm thinking, okay, so like you're
That's
going
the best
to like,
part.
Is it?
Oh.
Okay, go for it. Sorry.
No, but I mean, you don't get sick. Like, I'm thinking
we
about.
got sick all the time.
Sick.
Oh yeah.
Now,
like,
are there things
every
that you
month.
take before you go, like vaccines, things like this, so you don't like die of some weird stuff?
Yeah, so we went to a travel doctor before we left, and they actually we gave them a list of all the countries we planned to go to, and they said you should get these vaccines, or these are the ones you should consider getting, and then they also wrote us prescriptions if we wanted to get them before we left. So we ended up getting, I think, like 7 shots each. Things like tetanus and what else do we get? Hepatitis.
Some like regional stuff like we didn't do malaria.
Yellow
fever.
You have to get yellow fever in order to enter some countries. They literally give you a little book that says I've received this vaccine, and if you don't have that book, they won't let you in unless it's one of the airports that'll do the shot on site.
Yeah.
But that's not a lot of airports. So so we had to get that one, and then we did take we took like diarrheal medicine with us, and altitude sickness medicine, stuff like that. But we didn't end up taking a lot of medicine.
We
took
bought
sometimes.
a lot of malaria pills, and we didn't end
Oh
up
my
even
gosh.
using them because of
true.
all the crazy side effects
Yeah.
that it has and whatnot. We're like, you know what?
Take your chances.
Yeah.
I thought for sure I had malaria at one point, but
Really?
I
Her
made
whole
it out.
face was
I got
bitten. Her
mosquitoes on my
forehead had like a
face.
huge
Oh,
lump.
And
She's like crying, like this is malaria. So she hates taking pills, like cannot take them. Like she takes it, she drinks water,
And spit
and I'm
it
like,
out,
did you
yeah.
do it? She's like, what? And the pill is still there. So, but when that happened, she magically found the fortitude to just like get them down
Well,
for a
because
couple days.
we were in Kenya, and one of the hotel we were at, the worker was like, "You don't mess around with mosquitoes in Kenya. Like, you'll get malaria." So that freaked me out, and so I
my
started
God.
taking. We were drinking apple cider vinegar like shots because that's supposed to make them avoid you.
Yeah.
So we tried, but I mean we're fine. But
Yeah.
we did get sick a lot. It probably was just food stuff, but I think more than food was changing climates all the time and changing altitude a lot. That messes
Right.
with you more than you realize.
Right.
So, and just like having long nights, dehydration, having nights where something goes wrong and you're on a bus longer than you thought, and maybe you didn't have enough water, or you didn't eat, and you're just around
Yeah.
a lot of germs and
Right.
things. But I think it was completely normal. There was only one time where I felt really, really sick, and I lost my voice for like 4 days.
Yeah.
That's
My-
a long time.
It is a
Yeah.
long time, and my eyes,
was-
in Japan, my eyes were like glued shut every morning, just
Yeah.
mucus, and when I would stand up, I'd feel dizzy. I had to stay home for 2 whole days, and what made it worse was that we were crossing the border into Vietnam, and some of the Asian countries, they make you do like sort of a like a health assessment when you go in. They won't let you into South Korea if you say you have a cold. Like they'll quarantine you, or they'll pull you to the side or something. So I was like, please don't let Vietnam be one of those places, because I'm not gonna pass. Like I'm so
Right.
sick. I couldn't even talk to the immigration officer. I was like croaking, but somehow I got in.
Yeah, they didn't.
But
They didn't.
and then as soon as we got back to as soon as we got to Vietnam, I got better right away.
Yeah, it was the fun.
It was the pho. 100%.
So the water, right? Like I can't even go to Tijuana without getting sick.
Yeah.
So how in the world are you going to like Vietnam and Laos and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cambodia?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you get water there that you can drink?
Just
Well,
bottled.
They have convenience stores everywhere. 7-Elevens are really popular in Asia.
They have 7-Eleven.
Oh man,
everywhere.
7-Eleven's huge.
7-Eleven's
Really?
way bigger
Yeah.
internationally than it is in the U.S. I think
Yeah.
it's more of a culture thing in a way.
Yeah.
But even more than that, we have a bottle called Life Straw bottle, and it has a filter built into the water bottle. So even if we brought a couple water bottles with us to try to cut down as much plastic, so we didn't have a lot of plastic water bottles. But we'd even bring like water in the bottle, and then we'd put it in the Life Straw bottle when we were ready to drink it, so that it would be
Yeah.
filtered. So we did that as much as possible, and sometimes hotels would give you free water or, filtered water. But I mean, sometimes I think we probably did get sick from the water. But there's only a couple countries that they tell you absolutely don't drink the water, like
Right.
India. But other than that, I think
And I wouldn't say it was probably from drinking the water, right? I mean,
who knows?
I don't know.
We
I
didn't
felt
get
like
sick
some of it
enough
may
for
have
to be
been. No,
water.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
No.
So I hate to break it up for a second, but we have to go to a break.
Let's do
and
it.
then we'll be right back.
I'm the world's worst cleaning lady. I'm here in your home having a pretty spectacular Tuesday. But I don't notice the loose rug at the top of your stairs. And that's about to become an issue for me. And if you've got the wrong home insurance coverage, my medical bills could get expensive. So get Allstate.
Welcome back to the Rise Above show. I am Joe Perroni,
I'm Heidi Mancini.
and we are here with a happy nomad couple. Nice. Okay, so we're definitely sold on this. So the first problem we have, is our dogs, right?
Oh yeah.
Like we got 9 months. I'm kidding. I don't think I'd go that long. But anyway, we have a long time without our dogs. Who takes care of? Well, you don't have to tell us who, but
Yeah.
how did you get that taken care of?
Right.
All right, yeah. So we have 2
We
dogs.
were lucky.
Yeah, a lot of things fell in place for us, like at the perfect time. So we'll just tell you that so we have a house also. So the dogs were the #1 thing. If we can't get the dogs in a good situation, we can't go. So my sister, they were moving out of their apartment at the time. So a few months early, we said, you guys can stay with us, and then you'll just, you know, pay the rent on the house and take care of the dogs, and, you know, we'll buy the dog food and everything. Just make sure they're happy and alive by the time we get back. And that worked out for us, because I know a lot of people probably don't have that option, and I don't even know if we'd have another option if we wanted to go again. But at the time, it was just good timing.
And the mortgage on the house.
Right.
You don't need to tell me how much money, all that. But I mean, do you have to pay it up front for a year? Is that how you do it?
No, my sister paid the mortgage. So we didn't charge her higher than the mortgage. We just we charged her a little lower because we paid for the dog food and stuff like that. But they just covered what the mortgage is, and we have a small house and the expense is not a lot, so it
worked out for
everybody.
everyone. But yeah, we were lucky that we were able to find a renter and a dog sitter all in one,
for that long.
And the confidence, because it's family.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So so it did fall into place pretty
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So now you're looking at a map. Now, do you spend like money on going through, let's say, like 9 different cities, or are you doing this piecemeal, one at a time, once you start moving to each place?
We did a little bit of both. We started out with the countries we wanted to go to. We tried to create a route that would make sense. You know, we're not going to go here, and then come back this way. That would not be economical.
Right.
So we tried to find the easiest routes that we can do, like buses or trains, stuff like that, instead of planes. And then the times where we did have to take flights, we tried to find the best place to leave from to get to the new place the cheapest.
Right.
So we didn't really plan out any of the cities. There were some that we were like, we're going to Machu Picchu when we go to Peru,
there are things that you
but
have
in order to
to,
get there, we didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
So that kind of came as we were going, we came up with it. And a lot of it helped because we learned from other travelers. They gave us a lot of recommendations, and a lot of locals too. Our very first country we went to, we only had our first 2 cities planned, and he was like, you should go here and here. And we went to the 2. It was like the most amazing
stuff we probably
wouldn't
have
known
done
to go because they were small.
Yeah.
I mean, doing it as you go is a lot more rewarding, I think, because if you have everything planned out, you have no room for flexibility, and if you don't like something, you kind of are stuck with it, and it's a lot easier to just do it as you go.
And I have to take credit for that one.
Yeah.
Because if it was up to her,
me,
it would have been like down to the day. Everything would have been done before. But I was like, you know what? We might want to leave this place earlier, or spend more time in this other place.
I think the one thing we did is we had one really big flight, and that was from South America to Africa, and that's the only one we booked ahead of time just because we knew it was going to be expensive. So we booked it a few months ahead. Everything other than that was completely on the fly.
But even there, we were not going to go to Brazil. But once we did our homework and saw that, the flight out of Brazil is the cheapest it was either going to be where we were, which was going to be Argentina. Instead of staying in Argentina longer, we left a little bit earlier, spent some time in Brazil to get that cheaper flight over to South Africa.
So what was the most memorable experience you guys had?
Most memorable.
I think I know for me. I think my most memorable moment was going, and it's like the most incredible thing. We ended up going on safari twice, which was like insane. Like I don't even really know how we made that happen.
So Kruger National Park?
We did Kruger National Park, which is my favorite.
That's in
it's in South Africa. Yeah.
Right, like 3-4 hours away from Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was cool because we
I actually looked that up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, now you know how to get there. I loved South African show. We road tripped like the whole south, the whole border with the ocean.
From Cape Town to Johannesburg.
Yeah, and then we went up to Johannesburg, and then we went to Kruger, and we self-drove through the park, which is crazy. You can just drive, and there's like a lion just crossing the street. There's a family of elephants, and you're just in your little car watching it.
Okay,
and
so how scared did you get?
There was one time that was a little scary, and it wasn't even us. Right. We were in. So when there's like a really special animal, the cars back up. Everybody's looking. Yeah. So there was this one time where a family of how many elephants do you think there were?
So we were lucky enough to be there at the time when like all the animals just gave birth, and
there
all
their
babies. So you see a lot of babies of every animal. So there was like a herd of elephants with like,
maybe 20 elephants.
Yeah, 20 elephants.
Tons of babies.
And so stopped, and this one car. this one car is probably like, oh, what are all these people stopped for? Oh, elephants, I've seen this. And they go around us. But they warned us when you come into the park, like, be careful because, elephants are very protective of their young.
Yeah.
So this car goes down and happens to, like, be coming towards, like, a young elephant. And the mom is just not down with that. She charges after this car.
No way.
And this car stops and it starts going reverse back up.
But this person driving is freaking out. So they're reversing like side to side, like they can't go straight back. We could just tell they're having a heart attack in the car.
Yeah, and you see the elephant
like
yeah, and it's making it's making the sound and the ears are like pointed towards it. It's in aggressive mode, and the car is just going back. And of course, this day and age, I whip out the phone and I'm like, gotta get this.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this guy die.
Yeah, we're like, we need to have this on film if it happens. But there was one time that was a little actually scarier. It wasn't scary, but when we were on safari in Kenya, this time we went on a tour, so we had a driver in like a little safari van. Our van broke down, and we were watching wildebeest, and we just saw some elephants, or they were behind us or something. Yeah. And so one of the other vans tried to pull us out of the bush because we weren't on a road anymore. We were just in the grasses. And when they tried to pull us out, the front, what is that called? The part of the car?
It was like a grill, like a protective grill. The ones that you add
pulled off.
Right.
So they tried to pull us out. It didn't work. So, and you're not supposed to get out of your cars because who knows where the animals are. There's tall grasses and things. But there was nothing else they could do. They couldn't pull us because the van with all the people was too heavy, so we had to get out. We're probably some of the only people who's been on those lands that were on tour there. Yeah. Just walking. There's animals, who knows where they're going to come from. Right. And we had to wait for them to pull the van out, and then we had to get into a van full of other people and, like, join their tour. Right. So it wasn't scary, but something could have happened. Right. But it was an experience. It was kind of fun at the time because we felt, like, super special. Yeah. But we were upset because we missed the migration then.
Right, the wildebeest crossing.
We were like really lucky to be there at the time when if you see Lion King and when the wildebeest are crossing the river and some of them don't make it. We were there during that a few weeks long, and we would have seen it, but because our car broke down, we missed it by a few minutes. Right. So we got there and they're just dead.
And there's like crocodiles waiting in the water, like snapping up at them as they're crossing. Yeah. Some break their leg on entry and the rest just trample them. So when we got there was just so many dead wildebeest in the river. Oh man. Yeah, it's crazy. Like millions migrate, and like not all of them make it. Mm-hmm. Wow. So that's that was the question. Mine. It's a toss up between the pyramids, just because that's something that my grandfather wanted to see and never. My mother kind of took it upon herself to see it, and she hasn't gotten to as of yet. So it's kind of like been passed down. So it was like emotionally like, oh, finally one of us landed and took that in.
Like
and
his
plus
mom
they're just
and
like
sister
amazing.
have Egyptian names.
Yeah,
that's how much his grandfather.
And they're Mexican.
Yeah, that's how much his grandfather loved Egypt.
Right. So that was awesome. And then but then the best one was when we were in Bali, in Indonesia. We were riding around on a scooter, and we come upon this little like puppy. This little like just street puppy that's just like walking in the middle of the road. I think I almost hit it. I was like, oh, stop, turn back around. The puppy like came immediately to us and just like hung around us, and then we tried to like part ways after like 40 minutes, and the cute little thing just crawled. I put my helmet down from the bike helmet, and the cute little thing just like crawled up and just got into a little ball like in the helmet. We're like, all right, that's it. This dog's staying with us. So we took it around with us to like all the sites.
I put her in my backpack on our scooter.
Yeah.
And we went to temples with her.
And she's like peeking out the backpack, like just taking in the air. It was so adorable. Yeah. And everyone would like stop us, like, oh, you should take it. You should take it with you. And we were like thinking, like, all right, what do we got to do to like make this happen? But we went to a pet store to get food for her. And we explained the whole story to him, and he's like, oh, just leave her with me. I'll find her an owner really quick. And yeah, I mean, we did that, and within like 3 days, he found a forever home for her. So that was nice. Wow. That like, that was awesome.
He like texted us pictures of.
Yeah, he kept us in the loop the whole time, and like, it was really cool. cool
It was a cool
experience.
experience, yeah.
That is pretty cool. So what did you learn about people from traveling to all these
I
places?
think I learned that it's not that scary. Like,
Yeah.
people are a lot nicer than you would think, you know, a lot
Right.
more welcoming. And I think the best part is that all the countries that people want to go to, like Colombia, Egypt, you know, things like that, were the best ones. And those were the people that were actually the warmest
Yeah.
and that were the most willing to, you know, help you and wanted to meet you and were excited to see you. And
Right.
everywhere where they were like, oh, they don't like Americans, like, they actually loved Americans.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
excited to see, they're excited for tourists in general, you know.
Right.
That's their whole, their business sometimes. So I think in general we just learned that it doesn't pay to be scared or worried because everything always
Right.
worked out for us. I mean, we were lucky, but
Listen,
Yeah.
anything can happen, right? We
Yeah.
could be sitting right here and a wheel comes off of a plane that's flying over and it comes crashing down and whatever. I think I took that
Okay.
from a movie. But, you know, like anything can happen wherever you're at, right? But you just got to be positive and just go out there and meet people. I mean, Egypt, everyone's always going to think like, oh, Egypt, they must hate us. It's this, it's that. No, we got there. The hotel that we were staying at had a driver, and the driver came to pick us up. And immediately he's like, where are you guys from? And we're like,
We're a little
America.
scared to
He
say.
just stopped and he goes, oh my God, I love Americans. And gave
us the
me like the
biggest hug.
biggest hug
Yeah.
and then gave her a hug. And he was super nice
we
and
were so
just like,
excited.
yeah. And then, yeah, Colombia, apparently everyone's a drug lord selling cocaine. No.
No.
You know, like obviously that's not it. And you know, in the media, they're going to portray Americans a certain way too, right? And then when
Right.
tourists meet Americans, they're like, oh. So it's like everyone always has that moment where you're like, oh, I guess it's not as bad as
Like
they
the
try to make it
stereotype.
seem. Yeah, exactly.
So how big are the pyramids when you get up close?
They're huge,
They're
man.
really
I don't
big.
even know how big they are.
Yeah.
Um,
But there's actually 9 pyramids total, I think, in that area. But there's the 3 famous
three
ones.
famous
And then
ones,
there's
yeah.
the Great Pyramid is like the famous one.
Right.
But if you go to a certain area, you can see all the ruins of all the pyramids like in a line, kind of.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing about the pyramids is that, you know, when you see the pictures, it's just in the desert. But if you see pictures from the other side, the city is right next to the pyramids. So it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. Like,
yeah.
from we ate breakfast every morning on the terrace, and the pyramids are right there across from us. And the hotel was $30 a night.
$30 a night.
Get out
Oh
of
my
here.
God.
And we just woke
One
up
road dividing us from
the pyramids.
from the pyramids.
And we had free breakfast every morning. They gave us drinks any time of the day we wanted, like teas,
everything, bottled
Coke,
water,
Yeah.
everything.
and $30. And
was
the pyramids,
amazing.
we watched the sunset at the pyramids. They have a light and laser show at a lot of
A
places
laser
in Egypt.
show with
It's really
Egypt
crazy.
is
Egypt loves
obsessed
this
with
stuff.
laser shows.
Every temple they have this.
Everything.
So it was nice because you usually have to pay to get in to see it, but from our terrace we could watch it and hear it for free. It was
Right.
the best deal I think we got.
Yeah,
the whole
no,
trip.
it was amazing. The ride from
Yeah.
the airport was free
Was
and all
included,
that.
yeah.
And I'm sure there's people, you know, 2 doors down at the Hilton that are paying the $500 a night.
Same view.
Yeah, same view. Maybe the amenities are a bit nicer, but for the, you know,
Yeah.
not worth it for
Mm-hmm.
us.
Ah, that's pretty cool. So you also went to like Sweden?
No, we went to
Finland. Was it
Serbia.
Finland?
Serbia.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only European country we went to, and we only went there because he has a friend who's Serbian, and he was getting married, and we happened to be in Egypt at the time, and we were going to go to India, and so it wasn't that far, so perfectly to go to the wedding, be in Serbia for a week, and then fly out again.
Right. Other
That's
than that,
cool.
we could not afford Europe on our budget.
Yeah.
Oh,
Lose,
all right.
lose money
Because
on the
I got your
conversion.
itinerary,
Yeah.
and it says
Yeah.
Finland, Sweden, Denmark.
No.
Oh, okay. So in the beginning, we did plan on going to
Oh,
Europe.
yes.
But then, after we started like researching more and learning, we decided that we were going to be too rushed if we do Europe, and it was going to be too much money.
Right.
So
Okay.
we
Well, that's
decided
actually a
to-
good story too, because
Yeah.
sometimes you got to think on the fly.
Right.
Yeah, you got to figure
Just
it
the
out.
daily expenses would be too expensive, and yeah, you're converting to euro, so I think it's what, like $1.30 is like a euro, you know.
Yeah, it just
Whereas you're
wasn't
going to
good.
these other places where your dollar goes way further. You know,
You're
you're
like
having
a
whole
king
meals
in
for like
Korea.
$5.
So how are you making these money exchanges? Is that difficult? like you have some currency, you fly into another place, and all of a sudden, bang, you're in Cambodia. Like, what are you doing then?
So this was Carlos's job.
Cambodia uses the U.S. dollar, so it was actually very easy.
I named the wrong
But no.
That's a good
But
point.
no, but I mean, well, we got a Charles Schwab checking account, which is really awesome because we hate ATM fees. Like, my friends know me, I'm notorious. Like, we'll be somewhere, I will leave and drive the 5 minutes to go like to the nearest ATM that's mine and not get the fee and come back, you know, because I'm not paying the $5 to access my own money. So this account, what it does is it, you know, the machine that you pull from will charge you at that time, but Charles Schwab reimburses you at the end of the month. So you end up not paying any of the ATM fees.
Yeah.
And since you're going straight from their ATMs, you're not needing to convert money. You're just pulling straight out in their currency.
So the best way to get currency to get the best rate is actually to get from their ATMs. So what you want to do is you want to get an ATM card that will reimburse you the fees or doesn't charge a fee for you to use a different ATM.
Right.
And then we also have a credit card that charges no foreign transaction fees. So if we could use we used a credit card whenever possible, which wasn't often, but we did because we get points, and it didn't charge us anything, and it's just easier. You know, if something goes wrong, you can.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. But you save the 3% when you use the card that we did, because otherwise,
And when we were leaving the countries, we didn't take out a lot of money at a time because we could do free ATM transactions. So we only took out as much as we needed, and so by the time we left the country, we didn't have a lot of currency left over. So we never had to do currency transactions other than with a little bit of U.S. dollar that we did have. But most of the time, we just took from an ATM as soon as we got in the airport or a bus station, and that was all.
Yep. The only place where it was a nightmare was Zimbabwe, because they use the U.S. dollar, but their banks don't have a lot of U.S. dollars. So you have to be there at like 6 a.m., get in line, so that when the money arrives and the ATM is like ready for business, it's like gone. And we never made it there in time. So luckily we had U.S. dollars with us that we had traveled with, and we ended up spending like all of it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of considerations here.
Tons, and you learn as you go. Like you start to realize, but the banking was a huge one for us, because it's if you don't do that, you're just losing money for no reason.
Right.
So we definitely did our research on that before we left. But everything else you kind of just learn on the fly about the buses and getting places easily.
And also we were on a big trip, you know. If you're like gone for 10 days and you don't mind paying the $5 for them to convert your money and whatnot, then that's fine. You're on vacation mode and whatnot. But for us to be gone for almost 10 months, we had to be clinical with it.
Like
Plus, even if we were gone for 10
currencies.
days, we would be, because that's just
the way you are.
That's just us. Yeah.
So what was it like Machu Picchu?
Oh, Machu Picchu is amazing.
And it was really cool because we did like a 4-day trip. There's multiple ways to get to Machu Picchu. You can do like the one where you hike and you're carrying your backpack and it looks like it sucks. So we didn't want to do that.
You can take a bus straight to the city nearby called Aguascalientes, and then take a bus from there to Machu Picchu and never have to do a single hike.
Yeah. But we did this one called Inca Jungle Trek, and the first day you bike downhill in a mountain, and you're so high up that you're in the clouds, so you can't see over the cliffs, and you're biking over waterfalls. I actually fell off my bike, and that was a rough day. But that was crazy. And then at night you go whitewater rafting, so this is all one day. The second day you hike for like 8 hours, and the end of the hike is a hot springs. So you're tired, you go to the hot springs. The third day you go zip lining.
Wow.
Over a river, like 10 different lines, and then on the last day you climb Machu Picchu, and we stay there the whole day, and it's incredible.
A hike. From the town nearby to Machu Picchu, it's a hike.
It's an hour of all stairs, and it doesn't.
Be in a little bit of
you
shape.
do,
right?
But you could take the bus there if you weren't in shape. But an hour of stairs, it may not seem that bad, but the stairs are all different sizes. So one step 3 feet high, and the next step is like 2 inches, and you're just like adjusting, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and your elevation is killing you because you're not used to it. So
everyone's got their headlamp or their cell phone out with the light.
You're climbing in the dark
because you want to get up there
crazy.
before sunrise.
Yeah.
It was absolutely breathtaking.
It was worth it.
It's one of those things where, like, it is exactly like the picture, but it actually, like, that's rewarding that it is exactly like the picture.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh, I could have just looked at this online. You're like, no, this is exactly like the pictures. This is awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, so what other places do you want to go to? Have you seen everything you wanted to
All
see?
of them.
No.
All
I
of
go
them.
to all of them.
When you start to see places, you realize how many more places you want to see, I think.
Yeah.
A-
Lately, we've been talking about hitting up all the stands.
Oh yeah, we want to like go to like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and all those.
Azerbaijan.
I think our next one, hopefully, in my mind, is Belize and Guatemala. We haven't done Central America, and the huge one on my list, like the ultimate right now, is Antarctica. But that one's very expensive. There's not a budget option for Antarctica to go all
That
in.
one you just
But I want to make it there someday.
right.
I want
right.
to continents.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what's to see in Antarctica? Penguins.
Penguins,
seals, whales, glaciers, just completely untouched
research
land.
centers.
Yeah, just to say you did it, I
just
guess.
to feel that cold and to hear that silence too.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Pristine.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you didn't go to in Europe. You went to you didn't go to like Italy.
No.
Do a
Been
Euro
to
trip.
Spain, France, England. I've been to Germany, Austria, Hungary. So we've been, but yeah, for this trip we just couldn't. It couldn't be in the itinerary.
We want to, but
Yeah.
someday.
So you most people do not go to.
Yeah, because
Probably.
also the age that we're at, it's places that we can go. Where maybe later on in our lives we just won't want to deal with its congestion and humidity and the smells and the cow dung everywhere and the cows in the middle of the street everywhere.
Yeah.
There's just
India
things that we might
is
not want to
overwhelming.
do. But
Yeah.
like Italy, you can do that when you're 85.
Oh, right. Of course. yeah.
Denmark, Sweden, all these places, it's comfortable, and
Yeah.
it's the language is different, the food is different, but it's Western civilization,
And so you did go to Japan this time,
Yes.
though, too.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Japan was cool.
Japan, well, for you that was tough because
That's where I got
that's
really
where you
sick.
got sick. Yeah.
But I think I really liked Japan because we had just come from China, and China is really hard. It's not a bad place. It's hard to get used to, and it's a lot of people and pushing and spitting, and it's just
Right.
really weird.
the
But when you go
nature
to
is beautiful, but the cities are like
very
congested.
dirty.
Yeah.
But Japan everything is like perfect.
Yeah.
Like everything is clean. The people wait for you to get on the subway first.
I've been to Tokyo. That's
Yeah.
the cabs are like the doors open up automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody
Everything.
touches anything.
The
Right.
toilets are
Clean.
warmed.
Yeah,
and
it's
Better chance of English
Warm
speakers. Warm
Yeah, it's kind of
toilets.
crazy.
Warm toilets.
So we don't have much time left. Tell everybody where they can reach you, because I think you have a website and you
Yeah.
sell
do.
some things and you can help people travel.
Yeah,
Tell
we.
them. Make sure
Tell
they
them.
know.
Okay, we have a website. It's happynomadcouple.com. You can reach us on any of our social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We have some YouTube videos that are kind of helpful of how we planned our trip, what we did in the beginning before we even left, and we do have plans for more YouTube videos in the future. So if you have any questions, definitely you can shoot us a Facebook message or on Instagram or anything like that, and we'd be happy to help you. We also have a budget sheet that is on our website. We have our entire trip budget listed, every single dollar
Our budget
we
and
spent.
what we spent.
Yeah, everything we spent on our trip, so you could see exactly if a country's within your budget or not, or what we spent. And we also have a template that you can buy for $1 if you want to start planning the budget for your trip as well.
Awesome. Oh, one more thing, because I have to know this. So when you look at that sheet with the when it's itemized out,
Yeah.
will you have your own personal one on there with Kruger National Park in South Africa?
We can make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in there. It's in the South Africa.
It's
one,
within
but
South
yeah.
Africa, but we'll separate the Kruger
Yeah.
stuff.
You guys trying to go?
I would think about it for sure.
I
Yeah.
That
highly
would be
recommend
great.
it.
Oh, it is.
They have
It's
giraffes
amazing.
there?
Yeah.
Everything. We
Yeah.
saw the big five: giraffes, lions, elephants,
Rhinos.
wildebeests, and rhinos, and leopards.
Jaguar,
That
yeah.
was whatever.
You were able to get food there? Like
Oh,
that
they
you could
have
actually...
they have beautiful campsites. we can market the crap out of this place because it was awesome.
No, South Africa's simple.
The safari is very well done. They have campsites within the safari, and in the campsites they have restaurants. They have little places you can get food, or you can just go to the like convenience stores or supermarkets right outside the gates, and you can just like get a cooler and pack your own. That's what we did. We just brought our own sandwiches and oranges and waters and whatever, and we
There's
never
maps
left.
and paved roads.
They have lists of
some
where,
are asphalt, but some are just paved dirt. But everything is very simple.
Yeah,
to
they
get
have
around.
signs and and they have a place where when you go to the campsite, it'll say like where the animals have been seen, and they have little magnets where you could like people can say, oh, I saw a jaguar here, and so you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to that area and try to look for it, and that way you can try to see all the animals you want to see.
Jaguar.
That sounds like fun.
Leopard.
So I want to get some help from the Happy Nomad couple. This is
We could help you out.
All right, then. This has been the Rise Above show. I am Joe Perroni.
I'm Heidi Mancini.
And
And we're the Happy Nomad couple.